over and over. They tortured him. And I think it's becoming very clear. They did it before August. You know, the big question that's out there is, was he waterboarded before the August memo? Well, you know, that may be an important fact in terms of a timeline, but what's really important to keep in mind is that they put him through these experimental techniques that have never been tested, particularly sleep deprivation, before the issuance of that memo. And that's been clear. That has been established. You know, so the CIA says, well, we gave, some oral or verbal authority to do this, and, that it's still important to go deeper into it. But, you know, you made an important reference earlier before the break, which was enemy combatants. You know, again, with regard to this directive, with regard to the word detainees, these are very important word games. They are word games, legal word games, as a matter of fact, that the Bush administration had played. Because, as you know, the Geneva Protections provides, prisoners of war, these built-in safeguards. But enemy combatants is, they don't have those safeguards. So when it came time to certainly, when Bush issued this action memo on February 2nd, I believe, 2002, which said that they are not entitled to these protections, and then you had Wolfowitz issuing this, this directive titled Protections of Human Subjects and Adherence to Ethical Standards in DoD-supported research. Enemy combatants is nowhere to be found. The only protections that were there were for, prisoners of war. So these detainees were vulnerable, and vulnerable to, they were, being used as guinea pigs. And, for some people, I have to emphasize this, and I've done it in several conversations I've had over the past week. Some people are willing, or most people are at this point, are willing to accept, Scott, that our government tortured, you said thousands of detainees, and I have to say that I agree with you on that. They seem to be unwilling to go further to accept that there was also experimentation done.
Yeah, well,
and perhaps they're doing that because they...
Can I keep you one more segment here?
Yes.
Okay, great. Hold on the line there. We'll be right back, everybody, with Jason Leopold from Truthout. All right, y'all, welcome back to the show. It's Antiwar Radio. I'm Scott. Talking with Jason Leopold from Truthout. That's truth-out.org. Special report. Detainee experimentation program revealed. So please continue where we were interrupted by the break. And then if you can, please tell us about Al-Qahtani. I remember him, I think, from an important report about high-level officials involved in his torture from ABC News a couple of years back.
Right, sure. Well, I just wanted to, to wrap up what I was saying, before the break, is that people are willing, to accept that, okay, our government tortured, but when you go further into it, when you start, opening up that or peeling back the layers, skins of the onion to show that this was even, a program that revolved around research, perfecting techniques by using detainees as guinea pigs, they're not willing to go there. So they seem a bit unwilling to, accept these facts, and it's somewhat troubling because certainly the evidence is there to show that this was an experimental program. With Al-Qahtani, we used, in order to show how the Wolfowitz memo, for example, the directive, which, by the way, I must say that it's still in place. This Wolfowitz directive is still in place. Department of Defense said to us that they are going to change it, and it'll be ready for review next year. But to show how this memo was, likely used, we went into Muhammad Al-Qahtani, captured in January 2002. Again, another important date. As you can see here, all these sort of pieces fall into place. January 2002, Bush removing the Geneva Convention protections, and later on in the year, al-Qahtani was brutally tortured, and in fact, his prison cell, when they stepped up his torture when they first started putting him through it, it was actually modeled after Jose Padilla's his cell that where he was being held, and the treatment of al-Qahtani was the torture of al-Qahtani was based on verbal and written authorizations from Donald Rumsfeld, and his treatment was cataloged in an 84-page torture log that was leaked to Time magazine in 2006. It shows that he was poked with IVs. When it was interrogated in 20-hour stretches. Sleep deprived for days on end. He was according to his attorney, subjected to a regime of aggressive interrogation techniques known as the First Special Interrogation Plan. And as I said earlier, this was actually part of the Special Access Program that went on at Guantanamo, involving the torture, experimentation of these high-value detainees. And in fact, Stephen Miles, he wrote a book called Oath Betrayed. He said that the fact that they kept these meticulously recorded logs of al-Qahtani's torture and interrogation, it does not focus on intelligence, but it focuses on the emotions and interactions of the prisoner. That's a quote from his book, rather than on the questions that were asked and the information that was obtained. So, it really shows that this, he was an experiment. And as you know, last year, if I'm not mistaken, last January of 2009, Susan Crawford, one of the the convening judges at Guantanamo Military Commission, she said, to Bob Woodward, we tortured al-Qahtani. So that was a clear admission, and obviously one of the reasons I believe that we're not seeing him being brought up for any sort of military commissions trial. He did receive the death penalty previously before it was dropped, but when you start looking closely at how these detainees were being tortured, it becomes very clear that it's Scott, it's not about intelligence, because they certainly didn't receive anything that was actionable in the sense that to thwart any imminent plots. It was really about exploitation, control, breaking the prisoner. I'll mention this, that my co-author Jeff Kay and I actually obtained, and we have a follow-up story coming out within the next week. We actually obtained the notes, handwritten notes by Bruce Jessen, the attorney, the psychologist who designed this program. These notes were actually written in 1989, 1990. And, what we're going to be able to show when we put the story together from these handwritten notes is that first of all, it's the first real insight into how these techniques were, so-called reverse engineered, these torture techniques. But it will truly show that, this was not about intelligence. This was about control, exploitation, getting the prisoner to collaborate. So it's I think the important thing is continuing to reveal this to having it become part of the the historical public record, because it does change the narrative. As I said, no one really had realized that Congress actually changed the law in December of 2001, right after the invasion of Afghanistan. Changed a law that was put into place in 1972 to protect subjects of DoD-funded research and experimentation, and the changes that they made truly weakened it. And I think it's important, if I could just, I'll wrap up with this, is that back in February, or actually in March, former Director of National Intelligence, Dennis Blair, he revealed to Congress that, the Obama administration's high-value detainee interrogation group, they planned on conducting, quote-unquote, scientific research to determine if there are better ways to get information from people that are consistent with our values. It's unclear what that scientific research entails, how they're going to do that, what laws or directives they're using to support that. It's clear that this is ongoing. And I should add that we did speak to the Department of Defense, and they said that there's no detainee policy, directive, or instruction that would permit performing any sort of research or experimentation, and they noted that none of this had actually occurred. And the final thing I will say is that there was an investigation into the use of drugs for the purposes of interrogation on detainees. And a year ago, that was from the Department of Defense Inspector General. They investigated this. A year ago, they finished up a report, and they handed that report to the Senate Armed Services Committee, who did not comment on it. And just Jeff Kay, actually, that was another story he and I had put together on this. We were told by the Senate Armed Services Committee that they could not discuss the report because it was still classified. However, they said that the one thing we can tell you is that the investigation did not substantiate that drugs were used for the purposes of interrogation. So again, there's still so much to be revealed about this program, because that's really what it is a program.
Yeah. Well, we'll keep our eyes on Truthout. I'm sorry we're out of time, but thanks very much for yours.
Thank you.